Hi everyone, this is Kristen Boggs with the Albert Schweitzer Fellowship. We are excited to see you soon for your interview, and I just wanted to share some more information that I thought you might be wondering about so that you can feel more prepared. All right, so first of all, the format for these interviews, you will be meeting with a panel of our advisory council members. There will probably be about 2 to 4 people. I aim for about 3 in each of those. Although most of them will be from our advisory council, I will mention that we have a few guests participating with us this year. So we do have representatives from some community-based organizations that include places like Blue Cross Blue Shield or United Way, the Daniel Foundation. And again, this is so that we can get some additional perspective on really just reinforcements to make sure that we're picking candidates who are mindful of community needs and that they can just be another voice in that process. But most of the people participating in the ultimate decision makers are the advisory council, and those are people from a lot of our representative schools. And we also have some additional community members in that group as well from places like Jefferson County Department of Health. The interviews will last about 20 to 25 minutes. It will fly by, so just know that it will feel extremely quick because the content is really just going to be about getting to know you better and asking some follow-up questions based on what you've already shared with us in your application. So there won't be anything totally out of the blue. There really isn't anything you can do to prepare necessarily. I think just, again, familiarizing yourself and knowing kind of what your interests are and why you're interested in those things, and being able to be self-reflective and talk about yourself and your experiences is it's kind of what, all that we're asking of you. In terms of logistics, so we do like to do these face-to-face. I just think it helps people communicate better and get to know you more fully. However, we recognize that some of you are coming from farther distances. So I traditionally say that if you have to drive one way longer than 1 hour, we're open to doing a phone interview or more preferably a video conference. So when you indicated your availability, I hope that you either accounted for travel time or again, just let me know. So I have created a schedule, and hopefully in the email where you got the link to this video, you saw the day and time that we've selected for you. If something has come up and that's no longer convenient, I need to hear from you immediately because we have a really tight schedule that day. And that reminds me, I didn't start this video in the way that I intended, which was to say congratulations. We had 54 applicants this year, which was almost triple some prior years, and it was certainly double our previous best year. And so the process of even narrowing down to the 30 people that we'll be interviewing has been extremely tough. So because of that, our schedule is really tight. We don't have buffers built in. So if you think that that day and time no longer works for you, well, first of all, that's the only day right now that we have set aside. But again, if you've got full day commitments, let me know and we'll try to figure out some alternative or figure out if you can switch with someone else. I did, and this was hard to do, but I did try to group people who might be coming from Tuscaloosa or might be coming from Auburn if, again, people in Auburn wanted to choose to come rather than do a video conference, just so that, you have that option of riding together. So you should have also seen a link in the email mentioning that if you wanted to carpool, you could sort of, raise your hand by signing up on that Google form. I'm not going to put the Tuscaloosa people or the Auburn people in contact with each other. That's up to you to sort of self-disclose if you would like to do that. But I've again, tried to see, could I have 2 Tuscaloosa people interviewing at the same time just so that it would be convenient for you to do so. But no pressure either way. What was the other thing I was going to say? I think that's mainly it. In terms of location, though, these interviews are going to be held at kind of an office building where we have some co-working space and where there's some conferences and conference rooms. And so you'll see the address there. And again, in the email, Just for those of you who aren't familiar with the Birmingham area, this is in Homewood, and it's very accessible off of I-65. It's off of Lakeshore Drive, if you're familiar with that kind of thoroughway. But I think it should be pretty easy for everyone to get to. And that day I will try to put a sign out by the road so that as you approach the building, you may also see the ASF logo and sign to know that you're in the right spot. We ask that you come a few minutes early. I don't anticipate that we'll be running ahead of schedule unless someone just no-shows for their appointment. But the purpose for arriving a little early is just so you can get settled in, and also so that you can meet a fellow who may be on site. Well, I'm hoping to have one fellow there at all times just to serve as a greeter and so that you can ask questions of them. Now, I listed attire here only because people usually ask me that question. It's not that we are grading based on, your appearance in any way, but I think people usually feel more comfortable and confident if they're wearing business or business casual clothes. But I do want to also say, I know that many of you might be coming directly from classes or labs, and you may need to be in your school, scrubs or, kind of uniforms, and that is completely fine too. So come as you need to be, but I think, usually people opt to wear business casual or maybe even business attire. All right, this is probably the most important thing I want to say, and it again goes back to this, issue of having so many qualified applicants this year. We want to make sure that everyone has the same understanding about what the expectations of the fellowship are moving forward. I think a lot of people this year learned about the fellowship not through a direct information session, or you may have already met me and had me present about the requirements, but for those who were really early in the season, I may have not had the orientation date set yet. So just want to make sure that some of these required events are clearly noted on your calendar, that they're not going to be conflicting with any other activities that you have going on, because we do have 2 required things. So let me see if I can quickly show you what I'm talking about here. All right, so hopefully you see this responsibilities of a U.S. Schweitzer Fellow document, and I sent this with the email that you received as well. Please, read through it carefully, and I would say this is the part here about meeting dates. So I will distribute some potential meeting dates for our monthly meetings during interviews, and I do that just to give you a heads up, but just know that we will get the opportunity to adjust those if we need to. The ones that I'm concerned about right now that I want to make sure are on your calendar are for orientation, which will be January 25th through 26th. That is a Saturday till a Sunday. It would be all day Saturday. You will spend the night in Birmingham, and then it will be at least half of Sunday, or like through lunchtime. So maybe till 1 or 2 p.m. And then the mid-year retreat, we usually hold it in October, but because we're starting the fellowship earlier this year, I have a sense that our mid-year will feel earlier than it normally does. So I wanted to suggest the September 26th Saturday date. I've also looked, and it appears that that does not conflict with any kind of fall breaks that the schools have. But if you will verify that for me and make sure I haven't missed kind of a school sanctioned break, but we don't want to hold it on a weekend that you would, potentially be gone for a break. And then again, the other months, I'm not listing the dates here because they aren't set in stone, and we will adjust the tentative dates that I present to you later. But the mid-year retreat, again, I want to know if people have a conflict with that. And then the orientation retreat, we just can't adjust at this point, and I just need people to make sure that that fits for your schedule. The other items, again, are, a little, anyway, you can read through them. I don't think I have to do that here, but just want to say that I do want people to be mindful of them. And if you have any concerns, please reach out to me now so that we can talk through those and figure out, is this something that we can flex around, or is this just kind of an unavoidable conflict? All right, and so in terms of contacting me, this is my contact information. I look forward to seeing you at interviews. If I don't hear from you before then I will know that all is well, that the day and time assigned works well for you still, and that you don't have any questions or concerns about the fellowship requirements. Going back to that form, I'm not needing you to sign that at this time. That will be something that those who are selected for the fellowship will sign in order to kind of confirm their spot in the fellowship. You don't need to bring that with you. So nothing is really, you don't need to bring any copies of your resume or anything like that for the interview committee. They will receive that unless you have updates that you feel are significant that you want to inform them about. But otherwise, we just look forward to seeing you, and let me know if you have any questions in the meantime. All right. Thanks so much.